Topian here. Hope everyone's having a blessed week or weekend. We're going to be going over eBay traffic, how we can actually gain the most traffic so as we can turn over our products the quickest and for the best price. So overall we can make the most money out of this, which is why most of you are here, I would imagine. Alright, so let's get into it. Now, the main thing is that most people I see online complain about, I have so many listings, nothing's selling. I can't seem to get rid of any of my items. And a lot of the time it just comes down to a few things. The first thing would be that your products aren't actually in demand, so they're not going to sell. The second thing will be pricing. The third thing will be like eBay ranking, how high it's actually ranking in the search. And the last thing will just be your ad overall and description. It looks unprofessional, no one's going to buy it, and it's priced highly. That's a lot of time I see with these new sellers. They don't put any effort into creating their listings, and they're pricing it higher than someone who does. At the end of the day, no one's going to buy off you if your ad doesn't present itself well, and it's non-professional, whilst you're trying to get the most money out of it as possible. When someone else has it cheaper and more professionally listed, no one's going to purchase from you. Let's just be realistic. Okay, so I'll show you guys exactly how I do this myself and how you can gain as much traffic as possible. Okay, so I'm just going to base it off this Pokemon card, alright? This is just a completely random item I was just thinking of before. Okay, so first thing actually, in regards to getting as much traffic as possible, is going to be, you want to be listing items on eBay consistently. So what does this look like? Well, you pretty much want to be listing items every day of the week and around the same amount or quantity of listings as possible. Because if you don't consistently list items, eBay won't push you as high as other people who do. Okay? I personally, this is not a joke, have listed every day for probably 4 years in a row at this point. 4 years in a row. I don't personally list many items anymore myself, but I was doing this on my own multiple years in a row without missing a day. And a lot of these sellers who do this full time are doing the same. The reason for this, I can imagine, is just because eBay wants to see consistency, and they'll push sellers who are actually benefiting the site. They're uploading listings every day, they're selling around the same amount per day, and they'll give you the traffic to sell that. Versus someone just once off adds a listing every now and then. Like, they're not going to give you as much traffic. Why would they? That you're not providing them with as much value as someone like myself or someone else. But anyways, so that's something to think about. You need to be listing items on a consistent basis. If you can't manage to do that, then you need to try and source more items to list on a consistent basis. Okay, so pretend we had this Pokemon card here, okay? This is how I go about listing items. So first of all, you want to set it to your country. So Australia for me, Australia. And then you want to, so this is now filtered it just to Australia. You want to sort by lowest price. Because at the end of the day, the lowest price in your country is the lowest market value for an item. Why is this being like this? Lowest price. Because you've decided to sell on this platform, okay? You've decided to sell on eBay. You're not selling anywhere else, you're selling on eBay. So you need to understand that your competitors are on eBay. Honestly, you can't care less about someone telling you in person, oh, that's worth $700. It's not worth $700. If the market says it's worth $500, it's worth $500. Just because your buddy says it's worth $500, they've looked at like 30 of these listings and seen the highest one and they think it's worth that. It's just not the case, all right? It's just not the case. But anyways, all right? So we'll go down. And obviously these first few they're just rubbish. Like you can tell, that's not even a card, okay? So realistically, the cheapest ones that we can see for this card currently is $450, $510, $510, $510. Okay? So what I do personally, okay? This is me personally. You want to be listing your items in the same condition as other people. So you need to find what is the exact same condition, okay? First of all. at the lowest price, so lowest price in the same condition, and you want to slightly undercut them. This is how I personally go about listing my items. Because what you're doing is you're now creating a cheaper alternative to someone else in the same condition. So if someone is going to buy from someone, they're going to buy from you if the rest of your listing is better. Also, due to being the cheapest in the same condition with a better quality of listing, you will rank higher than everyone else, especially if your account has been optimized to do this, which I go over all this in other videos, but I'm just summarizing it all in this one. So let's click on a couple here. We got 450, 450. Now this listing looks like it's been done by a shop, okay? So the only thing I see with this one at 450 is that people will be a bit wary about buying someone from this because they can't really see the condition as well. They can, but it's not as great, okay? And then you've got the other one. So you've got 450, 450. You got this one at 510. Better quality listing. It looks like it's coming from someone personally rather than a random, if that makes sense. Rather from a business where they're listing hundreds of items a day. Okay. So I would say around 510 to 450 is the market price, right? The cheapest in the same condition. That's what I'm getting at here. The next thing I will do is I will scroll down and I'll click on sold, because the sold tab down here is actually telling you what this item has been selling for recently. So I'll sort it to ended recently. Okay, and we can see 465 plus 10. That was an auction. That's not the best metrics of what something's selling for. PSA is not the same thing. 420, 460, 450 plus 10. 8th of February. It's 10 days ago. These are very accurate. I'm seeing 450. I'm seeing 500, 430, 430, 530, 560 was the most recent one. Okay. So if this was me personally and I had this card, when you understand all these and you just take into account what's currently listed versus what's currently sold, and you can see that 450, 500, I would be personally listing this at around the same price as this one. Because what you're now doing is, okay, you're going to create a better listing than this guy. So it looks like it's more professional in a way. It's got more behind it rather than just a business listing 1,000. So it's going to be the cheapest. So you're going to list it at 450. The cheapest in the same condition. So say, make sure it's in near mint condition like these ones. And no one is going to decide to pay 510 when you've got one listed for 450. And they would rather buy off you than this guy. So you now are the lowest currently listed price on eBay, which has the most buyers in an online marketplace in Australia. And you make the best listing, okay? So this will drive as much traffic as possible to your listing because it's the lowest price in the same condition. Versus having one of these higher prices, right? This one here at 650. That's not going to get as much traffic because no one's going to look at that. No one's going to scroll all the way down there to find that when there's one here for 510. No one's going to click on that. Like, the likelihood is that they won't click on that. They're going to worry about these ones, see it's in very good condition, it's cheaper. They're not even going to look at that crap. That's why a lot of you guys, when you list items, they're not getting any traffic because they're overly priced in the same condition with worse listing quality. No one's going to look for it. End point, just no one's going to look for it. The only time you can price things a bit higher is when they're in better condition, or it's a very rare niche item when there's currently none listed on the site. Okay, so there's a little bit of a difference, but majority of products that I sell that turn over quickly, there will be other ones listed because they're very high in demand and lots of people have them. Those typically are the best items to sell and to scale with, realistically. High in demand products, and you pricing them cheapest in the same condition, or at least at market value in the same condition, versus pricing higher and trying to wait out. It's just not going to work. You're not going to change the market with your listing unless you wait 6 months to a year. And you can't really scale a business in doing that. Unless your business model is investing and holding out that your products gain value versus current market price, it's not sustainable for reselling in terms of you need cash flow and you need money to reinvest into the next product. Okay, so what else do we need to do? So say now you have the understanding on pricing to gain as much traffic as possible. You need to understand photos. So when it comes to trading cards, the photos are a little bit different. You don't really want the white background because people want to see the condition. Because cards have got small edges and small little dots and stuff that you need to understand, okay? But your average item, say you have what's an item that will sell? Like a speaker, just like a JBL speaker, right? When I type this in, look at the ones that come up the top. It's always these ones with the white backgrounds for anything. Because the thing is that eBay loves the white backgrounds. They look as professional as possible. And those gain the most traffic and ranking. Nearly all my listings have white backgrounds like that. It looks more professional, does it not? Versus that one there versus this one. Do you understand the difference? Obviously, not everyone's selling brand new items, but even for secondhand, you'd rather have your items look like that versus that. It looks a lot more professional, okay? People will still find this, but you'll gain more traffic selling like this. Now, you can use software, you can use eBay's editing thing. I personally use something called Photo Room, I think it is. It's pretty damn good. Honestly, I would buy that if I was you guys. But when you're starting out, you're not going to have as much capital to utilize. So start out, just use eBay's editing software or just a white background you got in your room somewhere, utilize that. And then use an editing software where it just automatically does it for you with AI. Because you make a lot more money in doing so. It pays for itself. It's extremely quick. It just goes through all your photos and does it in one batch. You can upload a batch. That's personally how I go about it. But yeah, I do suggest before you start investing a lot of money into a business, you want to actually make some money from it. And the thing with reselling is that you can make money the next day. This is one of the best business models to gain your first few dollars with, because the products will sell themselves if they're the right items, and you will gain capital like that. There's not many other businesses where you will make money on the first, second, third, first week. So in those kind of circumstances, this is a very good model. Now, which is why I highly suggest you guys do this for like at least a side hustle or a part-time thing, and then try and transition into full-time if you enjoy it. So now you've got the pricing, the pricing, the photos. Another thing is your titles. Your titles need to try and fill up as many keywords as possible, because what this does is eBay will push rankings where you're using as many characters as possible. They've got 80 characters. You want to try and use as 80 as possible. And you want to write things in a way that when people search for an item, yours will come up. For instance, say you wrote with this, right? JBL Go 3 soundbox, right? Who is going to be searching for a JBL Go 3 soundbox? They're searching for a JBL Go 3 speaker, wireless speaker. Okay, then see how they add outdoor soundbox, portable stereo speaker, all towards the end. They don't put that at the front, because the first few keywords, you want to make that as accurate to the item as possible. And then the other ones at the end of the search bar, you want to make them as almost secondary terms that people may search up. But your first few need to be very relative to the item that you're selling. The other ones don't matter as much. You just want to fill in the 80. But your first ones need to be exactly what an item is. Okay, so say I had this one here, all right? Pretend you're selling a C4 can, right? C4 energy drink, cotton candy, 0 sugar. And then see how I'm doing the main things? C4 energy drink, the first term. Cotton candy, the flavor, 0 sugar. People might search 0 sugar. Pink, because it's a pink color. Maybe someone won't type in cotton candy, they just know it from pink. Do you understand what I'm getting at? They just know it as a pink item. A pink drink. They don't know what flavor it is. They just search pink because they're unsure. Helps to get traffic. Then type in amino acids and vitamins, caffeine. okay? Extra keywords that relate to it. And then maybe, how many mils? 473 mil, okay? And then maybe it's a case of 12. Case of 12, brand new. It's as simple as that. Go in search of what it relates to. Relative to what it is and what it relates to towards the end. Okay? Now, I've got all that down pat. So you need pricing, you need keywords, and you need photos. Next thing is going to be you need attributes within the listing. These attributes is how people will search for an item via categories and via subcategories on eBay. If you leave your attributes and don't fill them in, eBay will not rank you. They won't rank you anywhere near as high as someone who does. It's just a thing that eBay wants you to add. eBay pretty much will benefit people who put in work. If you take the easy route, they're not going to. They're not going to give you as much traffic or many sales. So I'll use this for example. Pretend you have a pair of Lululemon shorts. Now you can find these in the item specifics, what I'm talking about. Every category will have different specifics that you need to fill in, but it all comes down to the same thing. You want to fill as many in as possible. That's how I would do it. So see how I'm filling all these in as much as possible, leaving barely anything. Even inside leg, I'd write not applicable. It's just you want to fill these in as much as possible. This allowing you to get as much traffic as possible. Also, a little tip that I do is I add other keywords in there. Like I'll write in these fields here in model and product line, I'll write something that correlates to my item but isn't the same thing. Because what will happen is someone might search for this and my listing will come up and they'll buy it anyways. Versus a person who doesn't do this, they're getting less traffic. Do you understand? I'm kind of using the traffic against them in a way. Versus someone else doesn't do this. I have Lululemon shorts in size medium. So in model and product line, I write t-shirt size medium and pants size medium. Because someone searches a t-shirt size medium, they see my shorts are a good price, they look nice, they might buy them. Versus they didn't even know they existed because they weren't searching for shorts. You're getting extra traffic towards your listings that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Most people don't know this because they don't treat it as an actual business. They treat this as, I'm going to list a few items, hope they sell, price them over the market price, wait for it to sell for 10 months. It's not a business. It's not a business. Let's just be realistic. When you actually give effort into things and you actually want to be better than other people at it, you'll realize how simple and easy this is to make money out of. And I'm giving you guys the formula. I'm giving you guys the formula. Then obviously you want to fill in condition as accurately to your items as possible. You don't want to lie to buyers because there's no point. They'll just create a return case and they'll get a return. When you actually accurately fill it in, it's going to significantly reduce your returns because you're actually telling the buyers what an item actually is. You lying and trying to act like something is something it isn't will never work out in your favor. I'm just keeping it a buck. It won't work out in your favor, so scratch that idea completely. Alright, so that's pretty much everything in regards to gaining as much traffic as possible with your listings. The only other thing I would go over would just be that your account needs to be optimized, which I go over in another video. So just like your feedback, your seller metrics, and consistently listing items, creating as best listings as possible in all the things I just went over. And your shipping time as well. You want to try and have your shipping time as small as possible. Personally, I do 1 day, which gets you as much traffic as possible. As well as if you're a top rated seller, they'll rank you higher. So the biggest thing is that you want to be ranked higher. Because being ranked higher means when someone searches for a certain item, yours comes up one of the first. And if it's the first for the cheapest price in the best condition, it's going to sell. Versus someone who isn't, they're not going to sell. It's going to sit for a long time until someone scrolls down and finds it. And at the end of the day, who do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who's getting the items pushed to the top so they turn over quicker, or do you want to be one of the fish swimming around in the middle of the search bar? Okay, so if you want to do this like as a business pretty much, or side hustle or part-time, you still would want to be utilizing what I'm talking about here. Anyways, guys, if you got any questions, just drop a comment below and hope this helps some of you.